wasn't that difficult to get over.
Bill Danzo here,
Yes,
so he
I'll
can,
fix that.
we want him to go first, so we don't.
Yep, so I'll call the roll, and Mrs. Yoder has to leave today as well, unless there's a few things, and Mr. Danzo's here to discuss, we'll call the roll first, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Cantala Mesa.
Here.
Ms. Frenchco. Mr. Malloy.
Here.
So if I may, if we could skip, Mr. Danzo's here and Mr. Mason, and, put item number 27 on. It was passed, as you can see, on February 23rd, 2023, Journal Volume 156, page 25478. There's been some questions and discussions last week, regarding, this is a professional service agreement with Heritage Health Solutions Incorporated to manage out-of-facility medical billing in order to ensure that Trumbull County is paying the lowest, Medicaid rate for inmate health care. And they will charge $50 for each, bill process. But there was some questions. Mr. Toth had some changes that he suggested to be made, and Mr. Danzo and Mr. Mason can explain what happened after that with this, and the board can decide respectfully what they want to do with this journal action.
Oh, you go.
Good morning, Commissioners. This is a situation where, again, our office had reviewed a contract at the request of the Sheriff's Office for Heritage Health Solutions, I think is the name. The contract review then went back to the Sheriff's Office, and I believe Heritage made every one of the changes that we had requested, except for instead of getting rid of the indemnification provision, which is what we usually do here in Trumbull County, they redrafted it. And the reason we generally get rid of them, as you guys are aware, is that the Attorney General has said that indemnification provisions in Ohio to comply with the law have to have a number of specific qualities to them. The most important are kind of two specific things, in that it has to be limited in dollar amount, and it has to also give the county something back in return for accepting that indemnification provision. In this case, instead of striking it, they made it compliant with Ohio law. And when the commissioners voted to approve it, that was the draft of the agreement that Heritage thought that we were giving them at that time. When it came down for our approval, finally, I discovered that provision was still in there. And I brought it to the board's attention. At this point, it really is kind of a question for the board to make a call on, because I suppose the board and the auditor really, because there is no legal problem with leaving the indemnification provision in as it is. It sets right now a maximum indemnification amount of $100,000, and what they have essentially given the county, in their words, is they have allowed us to keep the lower rates that we're paying them, even though we're not signing the full indemnification that's in their usual form contract. They're still giving us the benefit of those low rates if you agree to that $100,000 indemnification. The consequence of that to the board and to the auditor is that if you indemnify, under this Attorney General's opinion that's in play here, if you choose to grant this indemnification, not only does the fiscal officer certificate have to encumber the actual dollar amount of the contract, but it also has to encumber and set aside that $100,000 for the indemnification, just in case it's ever needed, because that's part of the financial rules under the statutes that we have to do for encumbrances. Chances are that would never be used, but that $100,000 is going to have to sit there for at least the 3-year term of the contract, if not longer if it's amended, and never be touched or encumbered for any other purpose. So at this point, it's just going to be a decision for the commissioners and the auditor. Are you comfortable with doing that, or is this something that you want to, attempt to renegotiate with Heritage? Is this something that you consider to be a deal breaker for contracting with Heritage? But ultimately, again, I can't tell you there's any legal problem with it the way it's drafted. It is perfectly legal. It's just dependent on whether you guys are comfortable encumbering that extra money.
Here's my take on it, Bill. If we were to negotiate with Heritage and say that we're striking that $100,000 out of the indemnification, and but we still want to keep the low rates that we receive, have we pursued that option yet?
I know that, I'll ask Major Mason, since he's here, put him on the spot, I guess. I think you've had a little bit more contact directly with Heritage than I have.
Right, yeah, well, the person I'm dealing with is basically the sales rep level, the person that reached out to us, and the person who, tried to get him to say that we really want to sign and move forward. I mean, the plan is, and the way this looks is, this is gonna save us money. It's gonna save us money, it's gonna save us time, and they have the time and the resources to do things like billing that we just don't have. We have a payroll clerk that gets the bills, she does her best to try to translate them to the, Medicaid rates. According to them, there's what's called basically published and unpublished Medicaid rates. We're usually qualified for the unpublished rates, which we have known what they are. They also do things like they check on, authorization for medical practices. We send someone to the hospital because they twisted their ankle, they get to the hospital and they start saying what mistakes, so they run an MRI and we get the bill for that. This company would make sure that there's an authorization from the jail to have done the MRI, and if there isn't, we're not responsible for that billing. And these are things we just don't have the resources to do, so it save us a lot of money. When I spoke to the salesperson, he reached out to the business person, he said, we do this with a couple other counties in Ohio, Lucas County being the largest, which is Toledo, and he goes, they have no problem with this indemnification, so it sounds like it might be something that you have to come, prosecutor reaching out and seeing it either lower or to go away, but I mean, my understanding is, I mean, other than that $100,000 having to sit there as a backup, if it's there or not, it would only be used if there was like a breach of contract, in which case we would still be liable for whatever damages.
But it would still be encumbered for that year, for that
For
fiscal
3
year.
years,
For those 3 years. So
Duration.
basically it couldn't be touched or used.
right.
So it's almost like not being, in a way, I mean,
It's sitting there, and eventually it would be unencumbered after 3 years. I just, before I get asked.
Yes, yes.
I have looked at this, but I have not had a chance to sit down with the chief accountant to discuss it. That's our plan for this afternoon when I get back from my event that I need to go to. So I don't have as much information as I'd like to be able to give you right now and give you my opinion. I really wanna talk to her a little bit before I express an opinion.
Okay.
I have some thoughts, but I'd rather speak with her first.
I just know from my years here with the prosecutor's office, we typically don't entertain those indemnification clauses of any kind. I mean, is that setting a bad precedent? What does that do for us in the
Wait.
larger scheme of things?
Yeah, we don't, I mean, just, again, without talking to the accountant, if you start doing that and you have to keep doing it, that's a lot of money that we keep encumbering
Sure.
that can be used for the county.
And
that's
that's
what I'm
why
worried about.
traditionally we haven't kept them in. We've tried as hard as we can to strike them because it does become burdensome financially.
I think that, I don't wanna speak for the board, but I think that if we go back and try to negotiate and just say, look, the commissioners are committed to this, they want that clause taken out, and we mentioned that before.
Sure,
And they still put it in, so.
Right. I'm more than happy to try to do that. I'm sure the sheriff's office, the folks would as well. I can't make any promises ultimately on what they're going to say, but I don't mind giving it a try.
I think we should do our due diligence and try that first, and then
Sure,
if we need to, then we'll reevaluate it.
sure, we can give it a shot.
I mean, I hate to play hardball like that, but I think we're gonna have to, if we wanna tie up that $100,000, or $300,000 as it is, for, basically.
Well,
not
it would be,
300,000,
it would be
$100,000
for 3
For 3
years.
years.
Yeah, it would be $100,000 but it would last for at least 3 years.
Right.
Like I said, if we extend the contract, it would,
And the other part of that, again, this is, just off the top of my head, is we're setting a precedent, not just with others, but with them. So when you try to do this again and renegotiate it in 3 years, you're not probably gonna get a better deal than you do now.
Right?
yeah.
Yeah, if you can let us know, Bill, reach out to them, and,
Absolutely, I will see what we can do.
yeah, we should probably drop that option first.
Then how do we handle this for tomorrow?
This really isn't a journal action. I wrote up here, I just put this on so you could see, this was voted on in February and passed. So we could just, if you,
If he says sorry, then we do nothing, if he says not, then another journal entry, amending it or
Yeah,
retracting.
Right, we could just take it off and
We'll
wait.
keep the board informed of what happens, but at this point for tomorrow, I don't think there's anything that you need to do at this point until we get an answer from Heritage.
And I don't wanna say it's your policy that we don't have those indemnification clauses, but it almost has been. I mean,
It's
I
just
know there are,
county general
there has to be exceptions to everything, but it's been
Right.
general practice. And for us to start this is kind of a slippery slope, so we don't need to, let's try to
If we're,
adjust
if we're not gonna have it on tomorrow, I'm still gonna discuss this with the accountant,
Oh,
just
yes.
to kind of get our perspective on it, so that when we come back to it, if we come back to it, I
Yes,
can give that
for sure.
perspective, all right?
Sure. Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Major, thank you.
Mrs. Yoder has to go somewhere, so she would probably like to be next if she has something.
Well, if they have questions on, what would be items 3 through, 7, some of those, I think the, departments are here, so they probably won't, but if there's any specific questions for me for those. Also, I, had, the clerk give you a copy of an email from last week. The other commissioner was saying that she wasn't informed of the reason for the transfer for the auditor's office. And as I informed you, when I was here last week for the workshop, I could not be here for the meeting. She was informed, and it's there. It was from, on Monday.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank
just
you.
to let you know. I think that all the departments are here for the,
Yeah,
so if you don't need me, I will leave if you
we
have.
got senior services, we got sanitary, we got, obviously our department, the sheriff's department. Is sheriff's department here, or they left? Just left.
I can explain on the sheriff's department.
Okay.
There's, I think the only thing for the sheriff's department is there's a contract, so the additional appropriations is for the contract with Mecca Township, and then that's also an increase in revenue.
Yes.
Okay?
Yeah, one last thing, I guess, I wish Mr. Masagi was there, but he's not today, right?
I know he was out yesterday.
Yeah.
I think he's supposed to be in at some point. I thought he was coming to you.
Well, the only concern, the only thing we have is there's a possibility after turning it to the attorneys for ARPA, that the Marks Tower may not qualify under there. And if that doesn't, we're looking at $875,000, we need to find from somewhere. So we wanted to kind of throw it off to you to see if you, help us look.
Yeah, okay,
Is that something?
We don't know that for certain yet, but
Okay.
it may not qualify.
okay. That will be something.
Yeah, absolutely. This is something we're so far in with it, we've already got the
Yeah,
state
okay.
funding, they'll be ready to go, and it's absolutely needed, especially after these last 2
I'll look
weekends.
in a couch cushion for you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to dig really deep.
Wow, I like that.
We might have something in the queue on the shelf there to go,
I've never
forgot
heard
about
that
it.
one.
See if we can find that.
It's too bad
Coffee cans that
it's too bad
Adrian
my
left.
late mother-in-law isn't around. We found like $100 bills stashed in her house.
Yeah. Right.
All right, is there anything else for you?
I don't think so, no.
I think
Okay,
that's it.
thank you guys, I
Thank
will
you.
see you
Thanks,
tomorrow.
Okay, first two are standard dispense of the bills, or dispense of the minutes, approve the bills. Is there anything in the sanitary engineer, senior services, or, sheriff as far as the appropriations that we need to know outside of the norm?
We'll start with you with the,
Our money transfers are all transferring from project payoff to the county auditor, so we're paying down on a Brookfield project, paying down on a road project. The auditor,
that's all 4 of those.
correct.
Okay, senior services decrease appropriations.
Yeah, I'm looking at that dollar amount, I need to review that, but I believe I know it's related to all the transportation grants that we're getting and the adjustments I had to do between the different 3 departments that the auditor's office has me setting up for this grant. So I'm kind of confused why it's showing a decrease. I thought that it was pretty balanced, that maybe 30,000 was less that we were getting on our grant, so I wanna look at that.
Do you wanna
amount.
hold that for now, or do you want us to table that?
No, I'm pretty sure what I submitted, it was
Okay.
part of the, need for this transportation. I have a second part coming that will then be an increase, so that the total difference will
Oh, I
only be the 30,000.
Can you sometime between now and tomorrow get us
Yeah.
a copy of that,
Yeah.
so we can have
I
that for
can.
tomorrow?
Yes, I can.
Thank you.
Auditor's office has checked her stuff, that Lisa
Yes.
put it on.
Okay, yeah, we'll get that squared away definitely for tomorrow, so we got the
Sure.
corresponding paperwork to understand that and justify that. Additional appropriations, commissioners, that's ARPA, 41,900, and sheriff's, 20,437. Just on the left.
Do you know what ARPA project that is appropriated to, or if Shara's around?
Yeah, Shara is going to be, I'll go ask the Shara, she's gonna be coming in later to discuss an agenda item.
We can ask her then if
Yeah,
you'd like.
okay,
Yeah,
sure.
we'll come back to
revisit
that.
Sure.
Revisit that. Okay, additional appropriations, commissioners grant, 773,150, mental health board, highway engineer, and development.
A lot of those are non-general fund related, so, not as, pertinent to the board. We don't have much, we don't have any say over those funds, so. The community development, is that, Nick? Can you see that at all?
I don't know.
Misty probably
put those
That
on
was a
for her,
Misty
yes.
thing,
Yes.
yeah.
Okay,
Follow up on that?
we'll let her slide with those 41 years of service, I guess.
Yes.
If I check my email, I think she emailed a detailed reason why to one
She does.
commissioner request and CC. Give me 2 minutes, I'll pull it
We'll
up.
come back to it, we'll come back to it.
And I can go grab anything, the board has a question, I can go pull our file and see what the explanation is for you. That,
And number 6, transfer appropriations, court sanitary engineer, health board only 1,000, and another 795 that Nick will follow up on. Sanitary engineer,
I mean, the three transfers, the one is pay the permit, is that a Mecca,
Waterland.
that we had on last week's agenda,
Yep.
that you guys approved. The $26,000 is for some work we needed to do at our Deer Trail pump station. That's some electrical work. $1,000 is the marine case study for.
Okay. And then amended certificate from highway engineer, commissioners, senior services, and sheriff.
it does relate to the additional appropriations, you'll see similar funds, so amend the certificate
Okay?
on those.
All right, then go in executive session. Concerning a dispute involving board of commissioners that is subject to pending court action. That'll be for all three of us.
No, sir.
No?
This is taken off, this is to do with,
Okay, this
Yeah.
is gone then.
the board will enter into, I believe it's a course attorney, I don't know for what case, but, Mr. Danzo asked me to put this on and to put it on first. So this, new counsel will be here to discuss a private legal matter with the board of commissioners.
Right, for all three of us.
Yes, sir.
Regardless
Yep,
of
yep,
this.
you
Okay,
can tell Mr. Information yourself, yes.
gotcha. I reconvene. Number 10, approve personnel action for employment of Ronald Exline for laborer with sanitary engineer. It was posted March 6th to March 14th. And due to a transfer, he has his tanker endorsement and passed, pre-employment drug screen and background check.
We had 12 candidates, plus I brought in 2 that had that had interviewed with us, that had CDLs. Because we're always looking, we give preference to CDL drivers. We had a young lady with a CDL who was our number 1 candidate. And in the time, she got, she turned it down. This gentleman who was a prior interview, job, and he accepted. The labor position does not require a CDL, but in the next few, that we're gonna have an opening crew, and
Well, he'll bid on it and we'll go through the selection
And then we'll go
process.
through it again,
Through
back
the
to
union,
the-
yes,
Back to the-
yes.
Okay, gotcha. So that's like the entry level is what this is working with.
And get him in the door, he's on deck, when there's an opening, he can bid on it through the union.
Right.
Into this position,
And that's where the CDL would be valuable as you talk, the
Yes.
shortage of
yes.
qualified employees out there that have that. So get them when you can, I guess, and get them in the system. All right, number 11, amend the action taken by Board of Commissioners on April 5th to authorize the purchase of a Ford E-450 cutaway mounted TV inspection truck.
What we voted on last week, but there's an amendment to it.
Basically, the amendment is needed. I talked with Paula and Bill Danzo. The price of the truck, everything else stayed the same. I made an error in the amount that would be paid from each fund. I had actually requested $76 more out of one fund and $47 more out of another fund. So very immaterial numbers, but Bill suggested that I submit the amendment for the corrected. So I think that I initially asked for $124 too much.
Price doesn't change.
The price is not cheap. Only,
That's fine.
12, enter a private agreement for the extension of 13 sanitary sewer service connections and installation of 4 new, wise and service connections in accordance with the Ohio Revised Code for Charles Reeser along Saddlebrook Lane, Bezetta Township, Trumbull County Combined Sanitary Sewer District, Mosquito Creek Sub-District, subject to the approval of prosecutor's office.
Yeah, Commissioner, this is, just pretty standard here, private agreement, paid for by the developer. With this extension, he's gonna provide 13 new, service connections.
And what's the subject to approval of the prosecutor's office, which we know will be questioned, so what's your stance with that, or whatever? Is that something they can approve in advance?
This is pretty much just boilerplate language that we've been using for 40 to 50 years. Prosecutor's office is, very familiar with the language. There's really nothing here that's going to change. But we do have a signature line for the prosecutor's office, that's why we put it here. And I don't know, I would think that when Scott Werner sent this over, that he copied Bill Danzo on it, and he's aware of it, and I should have asked Bill just now if he was okay with it too, but I don't see any, any problem he could have with it, so. I'll just confirm with Bill before tomorrow's morning.
If you can do that, that would
Okay,
be
before tomorrow's meeting, if he's
pleasurable if
okay
you can
with
do
it.
that.
Okay, all right.
They just all smile and walk in, and it's fine. Okay, number 13, approve an agreement by and between Board of Trumbull County Commissioners and the City of Warren for waste collection services for various county buildings as listed for a 2-year period commencing July 1, ending June 30th. Pricing is all inclusive. No additional charges are printed during the contract period, including fuel, EPA, and administrative. This contract is exempt from the bidding process pursuant to ORC 307.86C. The rates are for per month, except for the jail compactor, which is as needed basis. This covers pretty much all of our pickup that was brought into question, I guess, even at the,
How's the service been with the city?
It's been perfect. We never have an issue. If there's something wrong or if we need a new dumpster, they come out right away. They've taken very good care of us, and it's absolutely ludicrous to think that we would not utilize services that are afforded to us by the city where we are located.
Yeah.
From 2015 till now, 2023, the rate has gone up 12%. 12% over that many years. That's just, it's super low. These are not just regular trash receptacles, bins. These are large roll-offs. We have 3 yards, 6, 8 yards. They're enormous. Some are picked up daily, others are picked up 3 times a week. So they are really, this isn't regular sanitation services. It's a lot, and they take very, very good care of us. And just on a personal note, I had to call for a dumpster last year, and the city of Warren was the cheapest.
Yeah, these rates, we're looking at $50, $60 a month,
Yeah.
and for 4 and 6 and 8 yard dumpster,
Yeah.
that's, seems to me.
It's
I know I
quite
rented one for
reasonable.
clean out, and it's nowhere near that rate, that's for sure.
I know, obviously Trumbull County has a large footprint inside the city of Warren,
Sure.
with just our building.
Sure.
I think that's beneficial to partner with a
Absolutely.
municipality like that, especially when the service has been, there's been no complaints that we've heard of as
Absolutely.
commissioner from any department, so, work with, another municipality, and not to go with somebody who's like privately held or publicly
Correct.
traded or anything like that. I'm
Correct.
sure we're saving more money not paying CEOs and that sort of
Yes.
thing, so.
No, I do see, they go all the way out to Vienna and pick up, and they go out to Cortland, the
Yeah.
ag building.
Yeah.
Is that something standard they normally do, or is that something
yeah.
that we?
Yeah,
can-
they always pick up at my facility,
Yeah.
Right.
always.
But I mean, is that something the city of Warren typically does, or is that something that they do
They-
for us
they-
because of?
They have trash pickup, all over the county, but certain areas, you know, if they contract with them and they can do it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
they'll
And
pick
and
it
it's
up.
their service. It's not like they're contracting it out and.
No, they're,
Right.
they're.
It's their
they're
service.
doing-
And it is 4 yard dumpster for $60 a month, to go out to Cortland to pick it up
Yeah.
is,
Yeah.
I gotta think, pretty reasonable.
Yeah.
Rather
could-
than
we could-
having a bunch of different bills from bunch of
Yeah.
different places to work with the municipality, I think.
And we couldn't do it ourselves that cheap.
No,
I mean, I'm talking about the ag center.
sure.
Well, you were pretty cheap, so if we put that on you, it'd be a little.
Never thought about it that
Not to
way.
mention that they're exempt from the from the bidding requirement.
Exactly.
And most counties that have, municipalities within them utilize this sort of service with their.
Correct. And literally, to give us a 2-year contract, to keep the prices the same for 2 years when fuel is exponentially higher, and we're literally.
Just inflationary costs.
Exactly, and for 12% on top of what we've realized, you know, just with inflation is quite reasonable.
Sure. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm good with that. Yep. And this is a 1 year, or is that
It's
2 years.
2 year? Okay.
They were good guys.
Thank you.
All right, number 14, award contract submitted by the 4 companies listed below for purchase transportation to provide on-demand service to Trumbull County residents using the Trumbull County Transit System for disabled and/or residents 60 years of age and older. Funding available May 1 to November 30. Total is 2023 program year section 5310 grant, $565,939, plus 1.1 million local share reduced by transportation costs expended December 1 through April 30. Approximately 1.165, and year 2 beginning December 1 through November 2024, contract of 1.1 from the local funding, with increases possible dependent upon securing additional funding such as federal and/or state grant funds, 5310 funds. Contract period is by initial of 19 months from the effective date. Contract eligible for 19 months with possible 1-year renewal if mutually agreeable to the agency and contractor unless terminated. The dollars available for year 1 are from the following sources: the remaining balance of local funds expended December through April from the original annual commitment senior levy, $750,000. Trumbull County Board of Developmental Disabilities, $150,000. And Trumbull County Commissioners, $200,000. Sales tax funds. 2023 program year, section 5310, totaling $556,000 was awarded September 22 to fund the program. Second year funds include senior levy, $750, TCBDD, $150, Board of Commissioners, $200 from sales tax. 5310 grant from ODOT to be determined. With recommendation to enter into project funding agreement with each company listed for said services as action for the recommendation of Mike Salmoy, Trumbull County Transit Administrator, Diane S.J., Senior Levy Administrator, and Ed Stark, Superintendent, Trumbull County Board of Developmental Disabilities. Subject to review and approval by Prosecutor's Office It's also been approved by ODOT per their letter dated April 2023. And they are Garwin, Comfort Care, All-American, and Country Neighbor. So these are the same ones we had before, with no new companies bid.
Actually, I sent out 10, RFPs, went out, only 4 came back.
Okay.
Even the larger, providers, none of them came back. None of them gave. The larger ones look at them, but they just, it still wasn't big enough for them. Yeah. I mean, I had companies like there's a company called MV, and I have from one side of the state to one side of the country to the other, from California to New York down to Texas. Well, so.
Okay, and we have a comment from one of our providers.
There was a mistake made on Garland's proposal, one word mistake.
Okay.
That's one we can't really live with. It was put down as a $10 minimum instead of a $10 pickup. We are currently doing the $10 pickup, we have been doing it. When this was rebid because of the station participation, somehow it got put in as a minimum instead of the pickup. And it's way below our cost to do it as a minimum.
Okay.
It would still leave us in line, in fact, actually be under the other companies. It's the $10.
How did that language get changed to a minimum?
It was changed when I did the proposal. We had some old drafts and some new ones, and things got changed, and I didn't catch it. It was a mistake that we made.
So it'll be 10,
Or
Is it max?
I need to change to a $10 pickup charge.
Be able to,
If I can correct
Yeah.
that, we've always done $25 minimum.
I would gladly take a $25 minimum.
Yours last year was 25 minimum plus $2.20 per mile once it exceeded that $25. His bid came through with $10 minimum.
so there's
We had to
something,
accept what was written, and that's what we have here.
okay, so is there something we need to change on this, or can be changed, or does this negatively affect either party with it stated as it says there?
That would be a question for the prosecutors, I believe, because it's a change from what was bid.
Okay,
yeah, it was actually what was written up.
okay.
I don't know if you.
But in the real world, layman's terms, real world, what does this do to you, sir?
It cuts us about, well, it would cut us about 50% from where we're currently at. But it would be still, change between minimum to a pickup would add 25% to it. It'd still be under what we're currently doing.
Okay, so what do you recommend, Mr. Transportation Administrator?
Have we talked to Bill Danzo on this? We talked to Bill Danzo, but honestly, I've always been under the impression, you've done a lot of this also, what's written is written, and I don't know if you can change it.
They can
But, I mean,
refuse to accept the contract.
Yeah.
But in
You can negotiate.
reality or whatever, just because it's put there as the minimum, doesn't mean you can't charge more than the minimum, right?
It means he's doing transportation at $2.20 per mile.
Okay,
But if it's less than $2.20 per mile, he only gets $10. So it roughly works out to what, the first 3 miles, 4 miles?
3 or 4 miles.
That he would get $10 minimum.
Right, whereas the other one with a $25 minimum was closer to, 12 to 13.
so if he gives anybody a ride, literally, like you said, less than
And we
10 miles or so, he could be losing money from that 25 to the 10, he could be losing $15 a ride.
between the 4 mile mark and the 12 mile mark.
Right.
Well, even with a $10 pickup, we'd be losing over the 25 minimum, but we can live with that. We just fire down.
Right, I understand.
Unfortunately, it's a legal question right now. I mean,
Yeah.
we're bound by what the prosecutor tells us to do on this.
No, of course, the intent was there, it was done the first time they submitted, everything was done correctly, right? This was just a rebid after we had to make up for our mistake.
However, the rebid was the previous was 25. Not this 10.
Right,
So it's not even going back to the 25, it's changing what he even had previous, and USA Taxi is 25.
And I see the other ones looking at this are, we got a $25 minimum, we got a $30 minimum, we got a $40 minimum, depending
Right.
on the different types. And then Country Neighbor, do they have a minimum on theirs?
No, they do not, it's just, I think, 206 or 209 a mile. Their mileage is.
I'm glad to accept the 25 minimum.
Well, I guess let's, of course, we wanna try to work with you the best way we can, 'cause your intent, all that, from the last time to this time, wasn't like anything changed to try to underbid somebody or whatever, it was, clearly clerical. So let's work with Bill,
Okay.
see what Bill says about that, and if there's a way somehow that he recommends we find a solution into this, of course, we'll do everything we can legally to do things right, or I would hope that we would work as much as we can to, do what's legal, but at the same time, see if there's a way we can help out, being that, I don't think anyone at the table feels that was put in for smoke and mirrors or any type of backdoor or to outbid somebody else or whatever. It's the same four people that bid, same four people that got it, the terms clearly the average person would think aren't gonna change from one to another if they didn't need to, if it was approved before and would be approved again. So let's see if we can figure out with the prosecutor on how to fix that.
Mike, before, did you get a written opinion from him on that? Get something in writing from the prosecutor regarding this? We
Oh,
did.
yes, I mean, so that we could change that. If he allows it, then we would get that in writing,
We'd have to get it in writing.
and then I would
No,
hope,
I was just asking if you've gotten it already.
no,
If you posed this question to Bill.
no.
Question for Bill before it comes to us, I think. I'm just, yeah.
Hey, what's your
Paula?
I would just, thinking, yes, what Mr. Cantala Mesa said, because of the letter from ODOT, we wanna make sure we do everything so in compliance
Right,
with this.
right, I
We
mean,
can't afford any.
But we don't wanna violate the contract with
Right.
ODOT anyway.
That's why we
Yes,
put
But
it
then again,
on
we don't want-
here,
yes.
we put it on here as legally as what we're required to do, and now it comes to
Okay.
terms to negotiate.
Okay, so I guess just to get clear one last time, ODOT approved it as this.
Correct.
It was submitted by you as this, as it's written?
That's correct, that's the way it was submitted.
Okay, so it was a mistake, but it was a clerical mistake, but it was on the provider, the clerical mistake, it wasn't Diane or Mike wrote the wrong number, or Paula wrote the wrong number in here. So just a clerical thing there, miscommunication, whatever, clerical, however it is, we'll try to work with the prosecutor to get it rectified, but of course, you understand too, that we don't wanna jeopardize the whole big contract if they say this invalidates all four and we gotta rebid everything all over again. Of course, that's expensive to everybody else, and it costs money to everybody else in the process. So, let's work to try to fix this one little thing here with the prosecutor, and with guidance from ODOT too, so we don't jeopardize anything. Follow the lead of whatever they say we have to do legally, and see if we can come to a solution with that,
In fact, we do have a meeting with ODOT after this meeting, at 1:00 today.
okay?
And we can bring this up at the meeting.
And please explain to them on behalf that it was, with the old one, the new one, did everybody else resubmit exactly what they did before? Or were there any changes in the other three,
There were changes in the second year,
Yeah,
the second year?
yeah.
yeah.
But in the first year, they all were the same as before?
Not
so-
Country Neighbor changed theirs.
No, we
It
were
was the
209 before, yeah.
Okay, yeah, no, they changed the second year.
Okay. Well, present that with ODOT too, that we had a clerical thing, you already approved it, is there anything short of, starting over that we can do?
Right. Well, and, another question is, if,
Letter from ODOT right here, I printed for both of you, that, gonna record on this journal, that was sent to Mr. Salamone.
This is the
Then you have one.
ODOT letter dated April sixth,
Yes.
that
Mike,
shows that they got
too.
approval for the grant.
And well, they're also saying that they need to follow, ODOT saying that, Mr. Salamone, they need to follow this, so Mr. Salamone is having ODOT look everything over, and then our prosecutor's office will after that, correct, Mr. Salamone?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what they're doing, this is the letter that was printed from ODOT.
Okay, so ODOT's saying on here that before the contract is approved by them, that we have, that they're going through that, they need these three things,
No?
right? And one of them is our approval from the agency's attorney, so our prosecutor. Documentation of the governing board approval, which would be us. And,
In what order, you know? They don't put the order, but
They don't.
normally what we would be doing is, you would approve the contract. I talked to Bill yesterday about these contracts. This is the same contract as what we just did back in December. He's already looked at it, he will relook at it again. The difference will be with this contract, we will have the, FDA clauses in there, which we did not before,
all right, when is their deadline due date for this?
May first.
All right,
May
so
1st.
we can't really act on this today or tomorrow, I don't think, until we get this, because we can't approve the contract until we get something from the prosecutor on whether this is gonna be changed or fixed or not. And then you can't get it to ODOT to get the grant until they have our approval and the prosecutor's approval.
Right.
So there's a glitch in here that we need to
Yeah. And
make sure that we,
what I wanna do, I apologize, I wanna give this to you.
okay?
I had to send this out. This is the ODOT checklist, so besides those three items, this is the ODOT checklist that I've been working on, that's the ODOT checklist. So the first two areas have been completed, so we're working on that third area, what we're working on, to have this done by May first. So it's those three items, even though I think they're on there also, but. I guess the first thing to do would be to get the prosecutor's opinion on all. We gotta get, if you guys can draft that up, the board can sign it, the majority of the board, get the prosecutor's take on it, then we can move forward.
Yeah, I would say
Talk it over with the prosecutor.
Get the prosecutor, then get the negotiated draft contract, so do 2-1, and then bring it back to us. And then we would be number 3 for next Wednesday, hopefully.
Okay.
And then it would go back to ODOT, and you should have everything you need.
Like, right now, and I don't know if Diane's talked to them or not, but Diane sent the contract to ODOT last week.
They're working on the contract language, which will which will take place after your resolution of approval to award. So they're already working ahead of the game here on the list as far as getting the contract language. And they had said that they were hoping to have that done this week.
Yeah.
If these were awarded, then we would be able to move forward with all these steps with the contract language itself. If, I'm going to ask this though, if we can get the prosecutor's opinion written today, if we can get ODOT's opinion written today, can we effectively tomorrow then change this to be if that's what they approve, the 25 minimum?
If they will do that, I don't know if the prosecutor's office can turn that out.
Right, I'm just asking if.
If the prosecutor's opinion first and foremost for me is what's the most important.
Mhm.
And if they say it's okay, and they give us the thumbs up or the green light, that it's okay as it is, and you try to work out whatever bugs you have to get those questions answered today in your meeting with ODOT, then I understand ODOT's not gonna write the contract till they know they have approval from us.
Right.
So then we kinda could do 2, 3, and then 1, on these things, and you should be in order then, in line. Correct?
I'm confused by your 2, 3, 1 thing.
Well, it says there's 3 things they need.
Because
What you're
in our
talking about.
It's, show her there.
Oh,
Right
that,
You
okay.
know, so the agency, then us, and then the
Okay.
negotiated contract.
Gotcha.
That's what she's talking.
That's what I was looking at, I'm sorry.
Yes,
That way we don't get
they're
the-
working on the contract.
We don't wanna get the
anyhow.
cart before the horse, because we already had to retract once, and then come back at it, so
Right.
we wanna make sure this time everything is done in order. The letter is most helpful from April 6th, that shows us we're on the right path now,
Right.
and we just gotta hit the next checkpoint, and then we're good. And of course, this was unexpected snag with the snafu there, but hopefully ODOT can rectify that and the prosecutor will understand, and we can work through that.
Also, just one other thing, May 24th, Diana and I will be going to an ODOT workshop, regarding 53 cents,
Okay?
so. they work
And
out-
you'll know next year's deadline, all that stuff, for
right
the
now,
year
when it-
two of the contract. I see in here, it says, we got one, and then the next one, grant from ODOT to be determined
Well,
for 2024.
ODOT's changed some rules with them, they've changed dates, you know already. The, applications would have been out by now, normally you do a letter of request, and then the applications come out, and they were doing it by June or something like that, I believe. They're changed that all to August, they're doing a complete change, so we're gonna find all that information out.
We don't need to know that, you need to
Well, no,
know
I know,
that,
just
that's
like-
the,
That's what we're gonna
the
find out,
important
so it's where next grant will come out, time-wise and everything.
Okay.
We don't, as of right now, we don't know that. We don't have a date
Right.
when the next grant's gonna come out.
understand.
But we probably, unless you can get that prosecutor's opinion out today. Yeah. Or tomorrow, which I don't think is likely. Probably won't be voted on.
But just communicate fully with, if you're meeting with ODOT today, just communicate fully with them on what,
The odd part about the documentation here that we have to follow, that they don't have in here, is the fact that we can't do contracts until we have your resolution to award those contracts. So that's what this step is, just to award.
And I know that
And the next steps will be the actual contracts, which then you will approve again for
Right, by
that
the
one.
prosecutor. I know that they will eventually approve that, but I think,
Yeah.
in this, for this question immediately, the board needs some sort of clarification.
Understand.
That's all.
and maybe we can get it today, hopefully we can, or by tomorrow.
Beg, borrow, and steal.
I should have tied him to that chair when he was sitting there.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah.
Sorry, but we have to follow legal guidelines on,
Understand.
how to
We're-
One question.
word this, and can't make our own decision. Inside, we're going, shoot, he wrote the wrong thing down, See that?
Like I said, accidents happen, and hopefully it's
Yeah.
something that,
It's annuity day,
Oh, okay. Cut and paste will get you every time.
yes.
Commissioners, if I may, I was looking, we had a similar bid irregularity at JFS when we were going through bidding for Garwin Transportation and other entities. There is an existing prosecutor's opinion about bid irregularities, but I don't know that it'll fit this scenario, so I'll forward it to you, you can at least bring it up to Bill Danzo, he'll remember this,
We
this
have had
opinion
some
he gave us.
opinions on that, you're right.
Yes, so I have
But
that, and
not
I'll forward it.
specific to
Not,
this.
but that would be
Correct.
something that's not unusual, I mean, it does
This
happen.
is a little bit different though, I think, so. But I'll forward it to you if it's somewhere that you can start, so.
Thank you.
Thank you. Forward that to the board as well.
Yes.
It does say in your RFP that you could negotiate after the bids were.
Correct, it's just the prosecutor has to make sure that that's something that's considered a bid irregularity.
and I think it would be most helpful with the old contract to see that that was there, so they don't think, well, I saw everyone else's contract, I went up my price a little bit, let's change it, you know, I'm sure that's not the case in this, and the old contract versus the new, I think will show that. Good? Okay. Number 15, exercise Trumbull County's option to renew the contract binding between the Board of Trumbull County Commissioners and Direction Home of Eastern Ohio, Area Agency on Aging, for access to the agency's social assistance management system for an additional 1 year, effective until February 29, 24. The base cost of this program is $5,000 annually, plus renewal of license fees for providers is $446 per license. 5 licenses are needed at this time for a total amount, including the base cost of $72.30 to be paid, from senior levy fund number.
This is an annual renewal of a contract that started back in 2011. So the language has been sent to the prosecutor's office just to make sure there isn't anything needed to be added, and they returned a email that said that nothing needs to be changed, this is just a renewal, and this is a database program that is used by all of the providers that are, including the providers that are in the Direction Homes, agencies that they also award. So that's why we only need 5 licenses instead of 20, roughly, with all the vendors, and this is so that they can input their services that they provide for the year, that is also forwarded to the state of Ohio to be used on a statewide basis. Just an annual renewal.
Yeah.
And we'll do things, so I guess while you have the floor, 2 things I guess to do. The workday thing, you've seen the emails back and forth and stuff. It looks like, is that human resources type thing, is that something we're gonna have to address, we're gonna have to vote on, changing the work week from Monday through Thursday to Tuesday to Friday?
The month of
We're going
May.
on those emails through this.
Refresh my memory, I'm sorry.
So if you want my opinion on it, I just pulled the file.
If I can,
change their day off from Friday to
I only
Monday.
work 4 days a week,
I know.
Monday through Thursday.
Yeah.
From the month May through September, I'm requesting to change it to Tuesday through Friday. I looked at my original resolution when I was hired here, and it doesn't say anything about what days I'm supposed to work. It just says 32 hours per week.
Correct. I did pull our file. I was able to confirm, yes, that it just says 32 hours per week. Doesn't indicate what days, what time per day, it just indicates 32 hours per week. So in my opinion, contrary to others, it would be a management discretion, and it's not something that needs to necessarily be. Management has the right to rework schedules, rework shifts. That's not something that we journalize for every other department. I'm not sure why we would start that now, but that's up to the board, so.
I kinda agree with you, and that's the same thing, Gary, when you do your days, your hours, is that something I'm sure you've got meetings at night, you've got things where you have to adjust your schedule occasionally for your department. Have you ever had to come to the board to change someone's shift around?
No.
No, it's
Sometimes you have to be flexible with the hours, especially for what you just mentioned, Commissioners. Sometimes people have to, have a large report due, like I know Bob has done this in the past, where he needed some big audit report in,
And that's why I don't think we wanna micromanage
in
when someone's
November
there,
or
when
something,
they're
so
not.
he has to come in and work on a Sunday, and there, I'm really not upset if he doesn't come in that Friday.
So the only thing I would preface with that is that if you do wanna open that can of worms, totally up to the board, but then it's gotta be consistent. You gotta do it with everybody. So if we wanna start this process now, we can start it. But if that's the case, anytime management wants to fall under this Article 2 management rights, I mean, you're gonna have to, I guess, approve it every
I
single
don't wanna
time,
do
so.
that.
I mean, that's
That's
up to you guys, but.
Your past life? No?
Discrimination, you're gonna make me do it.
Well, hopefully we don't get to that point, please, and thank you.
No, I think as a department head, I mean, as long as you post the hours and the public knows reasonably that it's posted on your voicemail when you're there, when you're not there, post it on the door, post something and what the hours will be with the office. Yours is a little unique because there's a day off involved in there somewhere, but, I don't see that being a problem as long as we do everything we can to just let people know when they can get a hold of you and when they can't, you know?
You're not changing the amount of hours of work, you're
No.
just changing the days. It's not like you're gonna work less or work more.
Right, if you're sick on a Wednesday, the public's gonna get there and not be able to find you anyway, if you're not there, so,
If someone leaves voicemail now on a Friday, they're not going to get an answer till Monday. With me working Tuesday through Friday, they leave a message Monday, I'm calling them back.
so you have an
I mean, there's a
assistant,
plus. That's
you have
the
an
only thing.
assistant in the office with you?
No,
right?
I do not.
You don't?
I'm not allowed to have an assistant. Don't get me started. My volunteer is ready to start after
You're not the
4
only-
months,
You're
and
not
I'm
the only
trying to
one
get
that's
that
not allowed to have an
online.
assistant right now, so.
I'm not allowed,
Yeah, I don't have an assistant
I think,
either.
yeah.
Just
Ed,
being
will you be
around.
my assistant?
I'll be
Would
yours
you
if you be
volunteer?
mine.
Thank you. I'll be yours.
Okay,
just in my
See,
time
that's how
with,
you work as a team.
exactly.
I'd just say, just in my time with Diane, I don't think there's anybody that works harder during those 4 days than Diane does. And deals with a lot of personalities on our board and, manages to, work with the board, with our commissioners board on transportation and everything else, how we get things moving. I have no problem with it. I mean, it's an administrative decision, I think, at the end of the day. There's not, I realize what, our HR director is saying, but at the same time, I don't think this is a unique situation where you're, with senior levies, very specific, your 4 days are very specific. We don't have a lot of people in the county, if any, that have that schedule. A lot of people that would come to us.
I don't know how I was hired at 32, but I'm okay with a 3-day weekend, really, I'm okay with it.
As long as the work is getting done, that's what we care about the most. And public is getting served, and as Commissioner Malloy says, they're notified of the change, and I'm sure it's gonna be, it'd be even more seamless with the change, like you said, because you'd get to them sooner.
So I guess it's non-issue, and enjoy your Mondays, and Ed, you're in charge of watching Mike on Mondays now.
I'll be there.
Thank you, thank you.
Number 16, to approve the personnel action for the employment of Ms. Crystal Humsicker for the position dog pound keeper with the Trumbull County Kennel. Pay range 3, $14.10 an hour pursuant to the authorized job posting. She completed the background check and drug and alcohol screening. So,
Yeah, she completed all that. She comes from an animal background. Her references were checked and everything from animal charities, so, she should be a good addition to the dog kennel.
okay. Good.
We had about 35, applicants total. There were no internal bids on this one, so she came from the outside.
I mean, is there something less than a range 3?
Not in my
No.
department, no.
So let's say, so for
Yeah.
no bids, it's-
Yeah,
Okay. Number 17, approve the transfer of Mr. Michael Del Bono, laborer, sanitary engineer, pay range 3, to the position of deputy dog warden, dog kennel, pay range 4, within the Trumbull County Dog Kennel effective April 17th, pursuant to the job posting, and no background check or anything, 'cause he's a transfer.
correct. He's a transfer from sanitary.
So
He was
we're-
the only, bargaining unit employee to bid on this position.
Okay,
Just real quick, getting back, I'm sorry, Commissioner, just real quick, getting back to 16.
Sure.
When you had those 35 applicants, what was the screening process like? Was HR working with you on that?
I wasn't here at the time, I apologize.
Okay, that's all right.
So this posting was January,
Okay,
back in
that's right,
January,
that's
so unfortunately, I did get with her after the case, because we are looking to, I am looking to implement a screening ranking tool for everybody across the board.
How many did we interview?
So like I said, we had about 35 applicants. I kind of started with, going through and seeing who had any experience
Right.
in the animal field. That left me with about 9. Out of the 9, I called all 9. Out of the 6 of them, I only got to interview 3. 6 of them, a couple rescinded, a couple didn't show, a couple declined. So I ended up interviewing the 3, and, Crystal was the one that was qualified and chosen, yeah.
where's that bring you staffing wise in your department?
That will, we'll have 7 total, once these
Pretty much
come on
full.
board. Yeah,
Almost full.
yeah,
Full.
that'll be excellent.
Okay. All right, 18, pursuant to section 551301B of ORC, to authorize Trumbull County engineer to purchase sodium chloride through the Ohio Department of Transportation in Winterville, and execute the participation agreement with the state of Ohio, ODOT Office of Contracts, authorizing the participation of Trumbull County in this contract, to purchase rock salt, and agreeing to be bound by invitation terms and conditions.
Commissioners, this is just for the county to participate with ODOT. They're gonna put in chloride for the next winter. Price is gonna be at this time, but hoping it's a good price, obviously. There's about 38 communities and different jump on board and bid ODOT through this process. We're guessing we're gonna have to
We're good.
less than last.
Sorry, where are we sitting on our supply from, with the mild winter we had, where are we sitting with that? Is that able to carry over what it last all summer?
Yeah, with these contracts, you do have to take 90 to 110% of what you've, what you've agreed, what you bid on. So we still have to take what we bought last year, so we are looking, we're waiting for the communities to let us know how much they need, but we're estimating that we're gonna, ask for less this year than we did last year.
Just chemically, it does last year to year, doesn't
Yeah, it'll last.
dissolve,
It'll
doesn't,
last year to year, it's all undercover, but it'll last. We have some at our mooring yard, our
there's 2 domes at the new Hubbard Yard, Cortland has some, and then communities are taking theirs. Domes, and they're able to take all the salt that we do with the last bidding purchase, trying to get ready again for next one.
So do townships go in on the bidding with you and then do it as an aggregate in order through you at the same time
Yeah,
with these bids?
38 different communities, City of Warren, Niles, Gerard, a lot of the townships, I think Kent, Trumbull. So there's a lot of collaboration there with that purchase, and it's with ODOT as well.
Okay. And then ODOT, they collectively, you guys price shop between the different salt companies out there, and
It's a bid, it's what it is.
okay. Interesting, thank you. Okay, 19, concur with Trumbull County Engineer to grant hauling permit to PI&I.
That's just a routine steel coil permit.
And then supplier permits for Heights Equipment, Hauser Services, Trumbull Cement, Trumbull County Logging, Bob's Tree Service and Stump Removal, and Darrell Rathburn.
These are all annual permits that have expired, and the companies are asking for the permit to be renewed for another 365 days.
What's a basic permit like that cost?
If your company's located inside the county, it's $50 per year. If it's outside the county, it's $100.
21, to award the lowest responsive and responsible bid as submitted by U.S. Bridge Division, the Ohio Bridge Corporation, Wheeling Avenue, Cambridge, Ohio, for the Painesville Warren Road Bridge Rehabilitation Project located in Southington Township, in the amount of $203,232, funded at 100% by a Bridge Funding Program grant received through the County Engineers Association of Ohio, which will direct pay, no highway or general funds are required, and to enter into a contract, Jet Excavating Company, New Middletown, Ohio. So,
Well, Jet was the other bid. The contract's gonna be.
oh, I'm sorry, that's right,
The other company there.
yes. The first one there at Ohio, or,
Yeah,
Ohio Bridge Corporation, my bad.
This is the Southington 26 bridge on Warren State Road. It's structure replaced, which is from the abutments up. Pretty quick job, about a 30-day closure on that bridge. Price is there in the bid is 100%. So after that is done, we will have to pave the deck. And then there's, the bridge will have new guardrails, plus the guardrails that aren't really on the bridge will have to be new on the bridge.
Okay, thank you. Grant permission to county engineer to close the roads listed, Morro Ray, closed immediately until further notice.
Their MS Consultants is doing our annual bridge inspections, and that one we need to close. I don't know, I think our highway department's gonna make some repairs on that bridge, hopefully get it reopened, and then start looking. And then
Stoddard Hayes is yellow.
Stoddard Hayes is to be closed from April 17th to May 5th for a culvert replacement. So we'll do a detour post.
23, authorize Board of Trumbull County Commissioners Clerk to advertise for sealed bid for the Trumbull County Adult Probation Department to accept payments by financial transaction device.
This is the second step in the statutory process to obtain a financial device. So we have to advertise twice, I believe count 45 days after the second advertising, and then that will be when the bid will be due by. So I'll be working, creating that legal notice for adult probation, and we'll get it in paper, and we'll work with Mr. Toth and, Mr. Sam Lamakusa, if we need, but he'll walk us through everything, so we're helping them obtain that. It's a statutory process to use a financial device, so, this is our second step. We used, is on the signing table last week, the nice red roll, and that was just to go out, so we'll need that signed as well, but this will be, the second part will just be to put the legal ad in for it. Yep.
24, receive and place on file the 22 annual report of the Girard Municipal Court submitted by Judge Adler. Pass that on to the auditor's office. 25, concur with Trumbull County Planning Commission and recognize the resolution of the 2023 Trumbull County Players of the Year, Thomas Cordero of Girard High School District and Sophia Hook of the Brookfield School District.
These two players were awarded through the Trumbull County Coaches Association as Players of the Year. This is just conferring with the Coaches Association and honoring those two players. I believe Thomas said he was gonna try to make it. And I did miss a call from Brookfield Schools while we were sitting here, so maybe I have word on Sophia, I don't know yet. And for the financial statements that you asked about, that is, home sewage treatment system grant. There's a local match required from the participating, applicants. So they paid their local share, or their share of the grant, and that is their funds being deposited into the account. So that's all funds accounted for by residents that are.
Thank you. And also, while we're on that note, Trumbull County Planning Commission honored Gary Newbrower today at their meeting. Or you wanna talk about that?
Yeah, we, the planning commission, unanimously with all its, members, we honored Gary Newbrow today for his 24 years of service, is that correct?
Yeah, Commissioner.
24 years of service, I think, bears repeating. Ironically, Gary started in the planning commission, worked his way to sanitary engineer, he's a PE. What he has done for Trumbull County has been nothing short of amazing. He has, in my time here, done close to $70 million in sanitary sewer and water upgrades across the county, maintains, a number of treatment plants and pump stations and everything else across the county, and with more to come. Gary is a person that looks at every situation, and no matter how difficult, and I'll use the Blueprint Prosperity water line issue project as one of those things, no matter how difficult, and finds a way to get them done. Whether he has to chip away at it, whether he has to bust down doors and walls, whatever he has to do. Gary is one of our largest, probably ever, receiving grants and applying for grants. Both he and Julie Green have been absolutely amazing, and Trumbull County wouldn't be in the position we are in without those two. And we decided to honor Gary today, who ironically hired Julie Green at the Planning Commission. I found that out today. And you guys have been a tremendous team for Trumbull County, and your work as sanitary engineer, particularly in securing that funding, has been amazing, not only for the Board of Commissioners and for the people that it serves, but for economic development, for public health and safety, for all those things that we're in charge of, basically, that are under our charge. So Gary, we just want to say congratulations, it's well deserved. I was glad that the Planning Commission had that. That was news to me, actually, today, they were gonna do that. So that was unanimously between the Planning Commission that they came up with that. And in my, 8 years here, almost 9 years here, Gary has been just one of the easiest people to work with. If I ask Gary, look, we need to have this meeting, look, I need to, this meeting, we're having a meeting, by the way. We need to get this funding source, we need to go after this. It's always, I'm gonna find a way to do it. And it's that sort of mentality that has made his department so successful. And I know you have the respect of everybody in here. Appreciate what you do. Want to say anything, Gary?
I felt honored to be recognized by the planning commission at the meeting, and as you mentioned, I started with them back in '99. I was director for 5 years there, and just felt good to go back and, see how they have evolved and, reflect on all the work that Julie and, I have done in order to get all this infrastructure built. I think our latest tally was at, about 92 million, of which over 50 million of it was grant funded. And.
That's unheard of,
Yes.
everyone, for a community, for a county to do that much work, number one. That said that, honestly, and I'm gonna harken back to Commissioner Fuda, because he always said it, it said it couldn't be done. And honestly, the EPA and all these other agencies said it couldn't be done, and Gary found a way, and is still finding a way. We're on our last consent decree projects now.
Yes.
Something that we didn't think we'd ever see an end in sight on. But Gary, I just wanna say thanks, and,
Okay.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
No problem, Commissioner.
Good. All right, 26, to amend agenda item dated November 30, 2023, entering in agreements with municipalities listed for service to the Public Defender's Office. Amendment necessary to allow me to sign the agreements on behalf of former Commissioner Fuda. This is a formality there to...
Yeah, Mr. Danzo, I asked him how we could do it, he said it would just be the cleanest way to have a journal action allow you to sign. They went out late last year, so when some came back, Mr. Fuda had already been gone, so they need that's another signature, so I can send them out. So you'll just be signing on behalf.
Okay, anybody?
I have something I have to add.
Yes, sir.
Tomorrow. Yeah, we got notification from the Opiate Legal Council from New York and Cleveland that there are 2 settlements that we can agree to with, 2 drug companies, TEVA and Allegram, with the Ohio Opiate Settlement Agreement. And,
This is with the large one, the statewide.
Yes, statewide.
Yeah.
Now, they're actually going to also agree to settle cases with some of the defendants that we already have a judgment against under appeal. So we obviously are not settling those, but we can get settlement for these 2, and I suggested, since we already have, Commissioner Campbell in prior years, the DocuSign, you have to sign on a DocuSign agreement, if you be authorized to sign that. We always have one commissioner authorized to sign, we always have one signing. So.
Fine with that.
And, I asked council, I said, well, what do you think? They say, well, over the time settlement, maybe over a 15-year period, well, one company was, probably going to be $1 million, and the other was gonna be $500,000. So basically, $100,000 extra over the next 15 years. We have to be utilized the same way, as same terms and conditions as the other One Ohio settlement agreements with our local board here.
Sure. That, with or without legal fees taken out?
No, those are, would be, yeah, hard, well, they're all estimated, it depends who settles, who doesn't settle.
That is not including legal fees.
I think there's some statutory, I don't want to say statutory, there are agreements to fees that they've all nationally agreed to. The Ohio Attorney General and different participating firms.
Okay, so you'll have that language
Yes.
over to Paul today, so she can update that.
Good news.
Yes, that's for me.
And before you got here, we had talked about the marks thing. The update on that, as far as qualifying, not qualifying, conversation you had with Tanya.
She's still getting some background information. She obviously wants to make sure we can get it under our category 1, which I'm sure ultimately it will be. So she's getting still, information from Dick Miller from Columbus and from, local fire chiefs as far as the necessity and what this really does for us.
Okay.
When do you think we'll?
Hopefully, we'll get it very soon.
Okay. Put on for next week, if we can?
Yes, absolutely, we wanna get it moving. And,
And let's hope
still had the question, I know, we didn't get any response from the prosecutor as far as assuming the equipment wasn't yet?
I know that
It
opinion
did go
did
down.
get sent down.
It did go
Yeah,
down.
okay.
But if it's proprietary, or we
Right.
have to go out to bid, we don't know any of that.
Yeah,
I would assume in the past we didn't, but that could change, I don't know.
Right. And also have Patty Goldner's requests for additional equipment. And,
Right.
got contacts with state purchasing agreements too, to see if they have a list of items that are available. So I'm gonna contact Patty and have her check with our salesperson from Motorola, see which equipment can be purchased
Through state purchasing, yeah.
Alex, do you wanna give a quick update on the 911 screening
I
meeting?
do, and I have something else for you too, but I'll start with the more exciting, which is the 911 screening. So we met on 4/7, which was Friday, with, Chief Pantalone, Sheriff Monroe, Patty Goldner, and EMA Director John Hickey, and, I went ahead and pre-screened all 46 applicants, that we got through Indeed, walk-in, in person, whatever the case may be. We're looking for certain, obviously, criteria, skill set, so we're looking for a public safety role, somebody who has had experience in a public safety role, preferably 2 years or more. We're looking for somebody who has budgetary, knowledge, so that way they can obviously, but 911 has a budget that, you know, we all know is tough, so we want somebody to be able to help monitor that budget, control the budget, and also, I believe we looked at management leadership experience, of course, so we wanna make sure we're getting a real leader in this area. With that being said, we went down from 46, we got it down to about 13 candidates who met all 3 of those buckets. And the panel narrowed it down to 6 further that they felt would be recommended for another interview, for initial interviews. Our goal is to go through those 6 with the panel, then propose the top 3 candidates to the 3 commissioners for you guys to interview on your own.
Out of town, or?
Yes, so we actually had applicants from Puerto Rico, one from Indiana. I didn't bring my big spreadsheet with me, I apologize.
There was one.
Georgia,
I mean,
yeah, quite a few. And this round, we actually got a lot who were, Nina and APCO, like through Nina and APCO, so it's really exciting. I think there's gonna be a couple that really are gonna be some forerunners.
Along with the budgeting challenges, and this goes hand in hand with it, we need to have somebody there that, Patty is doing a young job out there, but we need to have somebody that's gonna go after funding, state, federal funding, that's versed in
Correct.
grants. Because there is money out there for 911.
Yes.
We can't just rely solely on wireless fees and the general fund to fund 911. We're gonna need to get a little bit more creative and go after aggressively some of this funding that's out there, so.
We are really looking for somebody who's gonna be, no pun intended, a jack of all trades.
Yes.
So, yes, and then also too, I was tasked with, trying to get somebody, Commissioner Frenchco had emailed me separately and asked that we look at, somebody with, you know, a little bit more HR background, training experience, operations, which, I mean, that all goes hand in hand, so I don't disagree with that. But we're definitely, it's gonna be some in-depth interview questions, and we're looking to just skip all the kind of BS and just ask the questions. How are you gonna plan on running this department? Grants, funding, budgeting, all of that, that's gonna be what the questions are, so,
Mhm.
it's gonna be good.
Very good.
So hopefully we'll get candidates to you guys by May, is our goal. Top 3, if that's how you guys wanna go forward.
I'm fine with
I
that.
think I'd like that, you narrow them down, then bring
I
us
mean,
your
the
top
commissioners-
with recommendations of what you have, and then
The commissioners have the discretion to interview whoever they want, but,
Right.
but we appreciate that input from you as well as the chiefs, and that'll be weighed heavily, you know.
I think that everybody has had a very important seat at the table through this process, so I'm very glad that we did it the way that we did it. You want me to go on to my other thing?
yes, go ahead.
This is not as pleasant. Commissioners, I had a call, I called, Mark Rossi, who is our insurance broker, was looking for the Corsa, bill, so that's gonna be on the meeting next week. I don't have the bill yet, he's shoring up some things, but he had some not so good news to share with me. So I did my own research, the data's here for you. I have to preface that our Corsa insurance amount is going up significantly. So we're looking at an 8% anticipated increase. Last year, we were at $593,000. This year, we're anticipated to be at $721,000. So it's a significant increase. All the increase factors I've listed here for you. Of course, the market as a whole. lawsuits, right now, we have 36 pending litigation, so that is a huge hit to our Corsa. They're here for you, you can go ahead and take a look at that, everything's here for you. Claims, Newton Falls Bridge was $800,000, of a, you know, it's a big deal. So, I mean, it was a really big claim. The covered bridge that they're fixing this week, was a huge hit to our insurance. We have 30 additional cars, auto, in Trumbull County. So of course, there's a fee for, you know, we had to cover every single one. We have $16 million in property values in Trumbull County, which is a great thing. However, we have to insure those. So we're looking at a lot of things here. We have 9 additional inmates over the standard limit, which is $1,000 per inmate. We have 4 additional deputies, which is $800 per sheriff deputy that we have to insure. So, overall, I wanted to really, drive this to the board. We had an overall exposure change that was significant, that is gonna be significant. And what that means is, of course, is gonna be looking at us. We have I'm gonna be honest with you, a target on our back, okay? So we're gonna be okay this year. The hope is, where I'm tasking us, that we need to be cautious of what we're doing, that we don't lose Corsa the following year. So I, just being as honest as I can with the board, we've got to somehow try to get our exposure down, our risk. Because there's not many other places out there, that will cover somebody with this many litigation, this much property value. I mean, we have a lot of things going on in this county. I also made you a nice little spreadsheet, of where your biggest risk is. So, actually, the sheriffs are 39% of our claims, the engineers 25%, and then the commissioners is number 3 at 16%, okay? This is all based off of the data that I get from Corsa. I just did it this morning. I have 3 copies here for you guys. I will bring in the actual renewal next week, but I just wanted to get to you ahead of time and let you know it's gonna be significantly higher than what we're used to. One of those is for Commissioner Frenchco too.
Thank you.
I didn't want to blindside you guys next week, so.
This be shared with all those other departments as well?
Yeah, yep. So this is what we're anticipating. Like I said, Mark Rossi's gonna come personally speak with me and give me the actual bill. So I asked him to come in and actually sit down with me, and we're gonna go. But this is what he's given me to date. So this week I should have the rest of the information, but this is basically it, you guys. Worst case scenario, we're looking at an 8% overall increase. He said best case scenario would be a 7%. So I'm not even gonna hold my breath and hope that it's somewhere in between the 7 and 8, but.
Yeah, thank you.
I hope, if anything, this brings attention to where we can hope to work to get better and reduce our claims.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I wanna bring up that, Mara, I talked to Bill this morning, and, for the contracts that, or the other bids that we need for out there at the Ag Center, it's coming back around to me. It's amazing, everything goes away from me, and everybody takes it away, and then it eventually comes back. I don't know why you just don't let me do it in the first place and be done with it, but, it's coming back, and so, Bill talked to me, he's gonna give me a couple people to get a hold of. I've got some other contractors to get a hold of, and we've gotta get this done, because I don't know how long that money is out there before they want it back.
Exactly.
I know there's a time frame on it, and we're running close, and if it does happen, it's not my fault, you know, so, but I'm gonna start getting hold of people probably next week. This week, I've got a super busy week. And then I found out, sort of accidentally, that Cher was trying to find out from the Ohio Department of Ag, from their attorney, how the money was coming through. She couldn't get a hold of him. I called him last week when I found out about this. I don't know if the money's come through yet or not. If you can find out, let me know. I'd appreciate that. But in the meantime, I'm gonna go ahead and get the contractors lined up, and we're gonna get this project done and get it going. We've been dragging our feet too long on this now.
Yeah.
But I just wanted you to know that it's coming back around to me, and I'm gonna work on this to get it done.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Bill is inundated with everything with ARPA money.
Yeah,
and getting quotes.
Yeah.
So if you can handle the quotes on that.
Oh, yeah, I can do this, and I said that right from the beginning,
Let's do
I'll
that.
take care of this,
Do
so
that.
we'll do that. Now, I won't be here the next couple days, because tomorrow I've gotta prepare for a funeral with a funeral home and a family, because Thursday I've got a funeral to do. So, you know, I'm trying to balance being a pastor and being your director too, so, I appreciate, you know, your patience with that also, so, but next week, maybe Friday, I can work on that. If not, next week, if Bill gets me this information, I wanna get moving on this. But I just wanted to bring you up to date on that.
Appreciate that. Thank you, Ed.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, one thing I wanted to bring up was, I brought it up 3 weeks in a row about getting together with applicants from, ARPA funding, and there's no meeting been scheduled as far as I've been notified of, so I said last week at the meeting, if there wasn't one by this week, then I would go ahead and schedule it. I'm looking at the 20th potentially, but I wanted to check with you, Commissioner, to see if I would like to do an evening meeting. I don't know how that affects staff, personnel, Mr. Masaki, Paula, pardon me? That's a Thursday, but I'm open anytime. I just wanna have this meeting to announce it, and next week to remind people that didn't know, to make sure we give notice. But I wanted some input too on, as far as the ARPA grants that came in. I know there's mostly municipalities, which could probably provide someone during the day, so if we did something at 1 o'clock, even on a Wednesday after the meetings, or 1:30, but then there are some people from the public, I think, that get shut out by us having meetings during the day. So I kinda wanted to weigh the pros and cons of that, to see if we should do an evening versus an afternoon.
I feel like April 20th seems like, Commissioner Cantala Mesa, does it
Yeah.
look like a busy day on
It
Outlook?
does, we have.
Yeah, I thought April 20th.
And there's a township dinner that night.
That's
Yeah.
right, you're right.
Yes,
Well, and that would be a great time to announce it then, so maybe I had to go for the following week, the 24th, 25th, or 26th.
26th.
Maybe the
Yeah, that's-
25th, where it's a Tuesday, we're here for a workshop anyway,
Or after our meeting on a Wednesday.
right?
I mean,
Now,
later in the
workshops,
day.
we're gonna be done a little earlier than meetings usually, traditionally it's been.
like the evening of Wednesday?
I mean, do we wanna do an evening? Is that okay with everybody doing an evening, or is that gonna be more of an impediment to people attending a meeting in the evening?
Well, you have to reopen the building and have evening meetings, which we've had them over the years. Obviously, there's gonna be a handful of people that can't come during the day, so you can maybe see if there's a need for a second meeting at night. Try to get everyone here, as many as you can during the day.
Right? So you think do the first meeting during the day?
Yeah,
And then, if we see that some of the people can't make it, then
Right,
have an alternate
yeah,
in the evening?
a couple hours in the evening.
What I would like to do, if we do it in the evening, I would kinda like to maybe utilize the Ag Center, maybe get out and do it in the evening at the Ag Center for that one. And maybe some of the farm region northern townships be a little easier for them in the evening too, or the people that aren't affiliated with government, to do that. So, let's do that then, and then let's look at,
Well, the 26th, 26th, which is a Wednesday, or the 25th is a Tuesday, both are, I mean, past our workshop and past our meeting, we're open. At least that's what my schedule's telling me.
You're talking this month, correct?
Yeah.
April?
Oh, yeah. Why don't we look at the 25th
25th.
in this room at 1 o'clock, or 1:30, let's give it 1:30.
Yeah, 'cause you never know how long this will.
Right. And if we run late, the people have time to go get lunch and stuff.
Did you say 1:30?
1:30.
What day of the week is that?
25th, Tuesday the 25th.
Tuesday at 1:30?
What we wanna do, Jim is work on between now and then, we'll announce it at the two, let me see, there's 2 meetings to announce it, and the Township Association meeting to announce it. And if they have pending apps, if they are contemplating putting an app, what I'd like to do is make it a special meeting concerning that. ARPA is what we're gonna discuss, is ARPA, not only the pending ones, but our structure amongst the commissioners as far as the remaining balances and try to allocate, as Commissioner Frenchco recommended 7 million, I said 7.5 million. I'd like to see where we are at that time and know how much we have left, and at that time be able to walk out of there with a reasonable amount that this much is going to the townships. So if we divided it by how much money we have roughly toward each township for the grants that they either have pending or ones they wanna do. So there's some guidelines out there to encompass everybody. And I think we'll get a consensus at least on that part as far as how much we're gonna earmark for that type of purpose, and then how much we'll have the other way. Also, at that time, hopefully, we got a couple of weeks to do the research on, what's been spent already, what's in the pipeline right now to already be spent, to have kind of as fair of a number of a remaining balance at that time. And
Sharon's working on that for the board, she's
Even if it hasn't been
working on
spent, it's been encumbered, you know, if it's been voted on, and it
Yeah.
hasn't, but that's the big thing, is that we wanna know how much has been.
working on that for the board. Would you, the board like me to prepare then, I'll prepare a journal action, to be on the journal tomorrow, to have a special meeting, and we'll just have to, I'll write the language, and then maybe let Mr. Masaki look at it to make sure everything that we'll.
well, with the importance of what this is, would it be prudent for us to schedule this meeting and then see if the Ag Center is open the next day and just schedule them both at the same time and give them an option to come to one or come to the other one?
Yeah.
Cause it could be a big crowd, you know, to be rushing down here for one meeting. And this might help, especially with the township meeting being on the 20th, to get the word out of, we've got the two of them, come to one or the other if they could. We'll learn from the one, we'll be ready for the other, and then maybe do the one the next night at the Ag Center. I mean, it's important enough to me, I'll take, if we gotta work all day Tuesday and Wednesday to do this, I think it needs done.
What night do you want me to check for the Ag Center, the 26th now, or the 27th?
Wednesday the 26th.
Okay, and what time?
I would, I'd like 6 o'clock, if possible. That way you get the employees out of there from soil and water and stuff, and then be ready for it at 6, if that's a possibility.
Okay.
At the next meeting would be, I think, the 19th. I would still have time to get the second one for the, Ag Center, but should for tomorrow, I at least do a journal action and call this special meeting for this. One, and then probably should be two separate, resolutions for each meeting, being separate places, because of the location, so instead of doing them together, I could do one for tomorrow and write the language, because we have to, whatever says for the special meeting calls, what will only be limited to discuss, of course. But, do you want that worked on for tomorrow?
Yes, we can do that for tomorrow, and Ed, can you check the schedule today?
I'll find out today.
And get with Paul, and if he has it today, let's do two of them, so that when we do it, people know it's one or the other, and then we can promote it that way. They will be separate, special meeting notifications. I agree with that, 'cause there's different locations that we wanna do, but I'd like to promote them both as much as we can now.
Sure.
And I'll find out before I leave. I'll go with you to your office, and I'll call my scheduler and see what we have, if anything, going on that day.
And if we
So I'll
don't
let
have
you
that
know.
day, can we look at Thursday, or do you wanna look at? February?
Yep.
And what
If
time
not
for the Ag?
Wednesday, then I'd say 6 o'clock.
Okay,
For-
yeah, I'll find out as soon as we get done here.
And I think that's as fair as we can be to everyone out there, that gives them a chance of, maybe someone's busy one day, then there's a second day. Maybe someone can't do it during the day because of work, then there's another option that would be outside their regular work hours.
So 25th and 26th.
And then nobody can say they were discriminated against, or they didn't have a chance, or it's not, they're not able to do it. And in the meantime, Jim, you're probably gonna be swamped when we do announce this, 'cause everyone's gonna be calling saying, hey, should I be at this meeting, should I not? Or, hey, I'm gonna get this in before the meeting, what can I do? I know I'm getting calls like crazy just based off of what we said, up there the last couple weeks as far as townships. I've heard from probably 7 or 8 township trustees that just wanna say, hey, I heard there's money available, what do we need to do? And it's like the light bulb just went on that,
You know, did you read correspondence from Tanya?
Far as,
it was probably last Wednesday or Thursday. Sent it to all the commissioners.
I did, but, I don't remember what exactly.
Well, she was questioning just like, you have to be concerned some of these revenue losses can't be given to the communities.
Yeah.
So they have to be qualifying on their own. So, I've said this along the way in the last 6 months, 8 months. May not have been a bad idea, but we didn't follow up on it. Have a meeting here with Tanya. That's some of those issues.
Well, could Tanya come to our next meeting?
I
Let her
don't
be
know
there to
exactly.
answer some of the questions, then we'll know more how to answer them the
Yeah,
next
you
time.
just get some parameters.
So they're just a regular commissioners meeting?
I'm saying have her come to the special meeting. Or if she can come to the workshop next Tuesday before the regular meeting.
I kinda think you'd need to speak with her prior to those meetings, just to get some parameters, what she thinks. Saying there's some misconceptions, and I don't know what those misconceptions necessarily are, or
Well, if we're gonna be the
how
ones,
those were.
we meaning you, being the
Right,
ones
yeah.
that are gonna tell these people the application and stuff and what they need to do. Yeah, we need to be, if we're gonna tell them, have a meeting with people, we need to tell them
Yeah.
the right information and not get trumped by Tanya later after we have a meeting and tell them what.
Well, that's why I was hoping she would get some opinions out on some of these ones we asked for. But I think she was trying to alert you on that.
Can
Well,
you-
how about her coming to our next workshop?
So,
Yeah, you can contact her today and.
invite her to next Tuesday, tell her we're gonna have one calling, if she wants to stay around
I'll
after lunch.
reread that email, 'cause I don't remember.
Yeah, I will too.
Yeah, it's either last Wednesday or Thursday.
And make sure,
Thank you.
of course, the notices and everything as we need to with the location difference and stuff like that, in a special meeting, we'll make sure we get all that correct.
And I'll let, Mr. Misaki look over my language just to make sure that I'm saying it right, 'cause I know you wanna, about the ARPA stuff. Fine?
And it'll be a special meeting to review the ARPA funding available, the ARPA money spent, and then,
Receive for possibility.
well, and answer questions,
Oh, no, you're not making.
and answer questions from the public, or help them with their questions they have, or,
Move projects
from
on
the
to council
entities,
possibly.
right, to make sure that they're submitting them correctly, or, so everyone understands the process at least from there.
Okay.
And that'll make it easier for us too, when we start approving these things, and maybe kick this thing into another gear forward, of moving that money out.
Right.
Good? You guys are back?
Yeah, we're back.
What do you got?
We went down and talked to, Mr. Danzo. He
Okay.
would be sending us an email. We're gonna send him an email with a question on it.
He's got an answer.
We have an answer.
Okay.
So just wait for his
Yeah.
letter to come back, if it does,
And we'll-
forward it right to Paula.
Discuss it with ODOT too today.
Yeah,
Get
that's
something
good.
in writing from them.
So, yeah, we took care of it. So he said he said it'd be a quick answer.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
All right, thanks.
While you're here again too, let's bring up one last issue. I did get a phone call from Brandy Greenwood. We heard her, ploy that, or her dilemma she's in as far as being out of funding by July. What can we do to start moving in a direction to make sure that stays viable and sound, and we come up with some money for her?
She called me as well. I told her to, set up a meeting with myself and Diane,
Oh, this is Brandy?
Brandy, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
yes, 9:45 next Tuesday.
9:45 next Tuesday, yes. So we're gonna go over some options and brainstorm a little bit, if that's okay. It doesn't have to be it could be a public meeting, I don't care. But it was just gonna be me.
So
and
you guys
Brandy.
meeting here before?
Yeah,
Okay.
if that's okay.
Yeah, fine.
Yeah.
9:45 next Tuesday.
Trying to figure out.
Next Tuesday, if we.
We wanna.
And I work that day, so that was.
Good, I'm glad I didn't have to go to another meeting for you.
But we gotta find a path forward with that department, if there is one. Because there's a lot of people relying on that service, that specific service. I know Jewish Community Center provides a lot of the meals as well, but they provide a very distinct service to the people that really rely on it, so.
I think
we
it's
can
fair
keep
to
that-
have one of the chairpersons for the home delivered meal program
Sure,
there
let's-
to
yes.
explain their reasoning
Yes,
for
they-
bidding.
Absolutely, if you can do that, I'm glad you brought that up, yes.
Reach out to somebody.
Yeah, we definitely wanna help and figure out if there's a way we can
Yeah,
continue the service. We don't wanna cut the hot food stuff out, and
and the way they deliver it, they go they go inside the door, they take care of these seniors. It's not like these where they gotta reheat them and all this stuff. So I know a lot of people depend on that and rely on that.
talking to Donnie Hyde, you know, the service they provide above and beyond, you know, is they look forward to checking on the people, and the people,
Exactly.
that might be their only visitor through the week, and if
Right.
there's something they need, he can feel them out and tell, hey, there's a problem here, there's an issue here. And that there have been many things in the past have been solved by, you know, that kind hand knocking on the door and being there. And we don't wanna lose that personal
No.
touch.
No.
I agree.
We don't want an Amazon Prime person doing our work.
Or the, drone with the package, right?
Right.
Yeah, bring your
Right.
lunch.
Okay, anybody else for the good of the order of Trumbull County? Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to adjourn?
Mr. Cantala
Oh,
Mesa.
Yes.
Mr.
no.
Malloy.
Yes.
Yeah, thanks for all your volunteer help.
Going,
You know,
Well, these are,
I had this